You feel like you don't matter, feel like your life doesn't matter, get involved.
My real interest is in what constructive recommendations might we make to government as to how to prevent further harm and to make some of the systemic changes that would produce the best benefit. So some witnesses have talked to us about resourcing models like whānau ora, and others have talked about a range of ideas. And I was interested in your views because you are not only at the midwife area space, but you're part of an organisation that provides a range of services to at-need whānau.
I have to agree with you. I've read hundreds of reports that give us the solutions. I could stand here and go brrr to you. Largely they're ignored. We have the answer. So the reports that we've got, the Te Whaitangi report, written 33 years ago, it showed us ways to change the system to prevent what we've got. What happens is we get the responses, we get the answers, we know how to change it. It's the will of government whether it happens or not.
The one important distinction there, though, with Puau Te Atatu is that largely recommended substantial change from the inside, and it withered for a variety of reasons. The conclusion that we're hearing from a lot of witnesses is that approach won't work. You can't try to change the system from the inside.
You can't.
All right, and that's your view too?
That is absolutely my view. You cannot fix what is already broken, because my view is it's not broken. It is deliberately designed to do what it does. It's a feeder. The whole system feeds children into the system. And you can't fix that because it's deliberately designed to do that.
I understand. And lastly, just in relation to all of those tamariki who are currently already in the system and what kind of changes are needed.
We need a reunification program. We need to be able to support families. We need to have individual assessments. We can't have a one-size-fits-all, a blanket approach to it. Each child has to be individually assessed, individually. What's the best for this child, with this whānau, with this family on board? Every individual care plan has to be individually designed for that child. We cannot continue to have this one big blanketed, we're going to do it like that, and it fits everybody. That doesn't work. And I think there is going to be huge issues around that because, for instance, I've been told, someone came to me and said, a foster parent, I'm giving this kid all this love. It's got this beautiful big 5-bedroom house and it's got its pink umbrella and its pink gumboots and its beautiful pink bike. And you want me to give this kid back to its parents at the other end of Flaxmere and they don't have a car and they got no garage and I'm doing better for this kid than its family can provide. That's going to be a critical issue. How do you take children, and some who have been privileged, some who have had an opportunity to see how the other side live, how do you take those children and try and put them back with their families who are marginalised and have nothing? That is a huge problem. We're going to have to, I don't have the answers to that.
But what you're saying actually echoes something that Katie Murray from Waitomo Papakainga talked to us about last week. She said something like, said much what you have said, that you actually have to look at each of those individual tamariki and work out what is safe for them. And she also said that those iwi leaders who say, just give us back all of our tamariki, have no idea what they are asking for. And also acknowledging in this interim phase that there is a need for services from services or capacity that the state has in Oranga Tamariki and other places to help, particularly with the high needs children who are in care. So how you see this transitionary period as well?
I absolutely see that. Our family has built a marae on the beach at Waimarama. We cater for kids, and so we do school kids and camps. Our children and families need to be safe places like that. A transition isn't going to be a 1 or 2 hour meeting. It's going to have to be live-ins. It's going to have to be sorting out the intergenerational trauma that families have been through. It's taken 155 years to rip our families apart. It's not going to take 5 minutes to put them back together. There's going to have to be, like you said, there's going to have to be programs that are about reunification in a way that is appropriate for those whānaus, and the government has to resource those. And they have to be done in a manner which is by Māori for Māori. That list of providers in the country today that are trying to do that work, most of them are Pākehā contractors. I say there is a role for them, but it isn't essentially at the front line. They need to get at the back. Once we've exhausted all our Māori support workers and all of our Māori whānau who are prepared and willing to do the work, then yes, if there are spaces for them, sure. But yeah, I believe entirely that it should be a by Māori for Māori programs.
Kia ora, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms Cassidy. Right, Ms Cassidy has 2 questions.
You can throw 100 at me.
Tēnā nōku,
Kia ora.
I was just interested about, your training in terms of te ao Māori and bringing tamariki into the world from a te ao Māori perspective. I was thinking about the mothers that you've had the experience over the years of being with when their children are removed. What about the practice around the umbilical cord and the placenta for those, and ka hoki te whenua ki te whenua, what happens from your experience and what you've seen?
So this is quite poignant. At most DHBs now, the placenta is treated as a body part. So you have to sign an application and a request to take the placenta home, and it's treated as a protocol. And it seems ludicrous that you have to do that, but you can't take the baby home. But, we have, it is difficult. It is a difficult time for mothers whose babies are taken to then engage in kaupapa Māori mātauranga ways of knowing or being. The hurt of having a newborn taken is beyond anything that we could reasonably, incoherently think possible in this day and age. And yet it happens to 360 Māori women a year. I can't really, I know, they're allowed to take their placenta and that home. But it's it's just
And just finally, because you've raised the issue around women in this space at the coalface, and we know we've had many over the last week and even in the contextual hearings of coming forward and sharing their story. We know in terms of Section 7AA that's the implementation of that has been happening for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
So back to this matter that you were involved with last year with the young mum, do you believe, because there was a whole lot of things being implemented, a Māori cultural framework and Section 7AA implemented all over the country, do you believe, had it not been for this one particular case, that do you think things would have changed?
I for 25 plus years, I've been going on committees, I've been writing submissions, I've been attending advisory conferences and things like that. Nothing worked like taking that video on my phone. No amount of submissions would have raised the level of awareness that happened when I took my camera out and videoed what was happening in the room. And you know, we underestimate the power of social media. It has touched the lives of thousands and thousands of people, not only in this country, but other countries are questioning the same, what's happening in their country. What we have and what we see today through social media have been hidden from us for generations. And when like Will Smith last week said, the only reason we now know that police are killing black Africans in America is because we're seeing it on social media. And just like what happened at the hospital, our family and whānau, we waited, we wanted to be able to leave that hospital. For 3 days we sat and waited while they tried to make up their mind. We were told, you can't leave, and you can go. They said to us, you can go, but you have to leave the baby. You can't take the baby. Where in a country can that be said to you? And so, you know, when I rethink about the events that happened then and how it's raised this case and others, it was as though it was always going to happen. Just because at that time we had a camera, had a phone with a camera on it, it gave the world the opportunity to see what our families and whānau have to go through all the time.
Ms. Cassidy, sorry,
about
could you
that
just shift your iPad away from the mic? It's picking up some feedback.
Thank you.
That's all? Oh, right. Thank you. Ms. Smith-McLeod?
Kia ora.
You can stay seated, Ms. Smith.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Just 2 points of clarification, and Professor Higgins has asked most of the questions I wanted to ask around Section 7AA, but just one point on that. The event last year that triggered this the Section 7AA came into force after that. Is that correct?
What I understand is that they did a Section 78 without notice. The social worker that filled that form out a week before the baby was born and went on holiday. She left the documentation on her desk for someone else to pick it up and file it. So when we can see how easily a baby can be removed from its mother on hearsay, it breaches every kind of human right. And when you talk about was that clause in last year or this year, I only know that the impact of that has been highlighted.
Yes, I understand. I'm just clarifying the time frame of when Section 7A. And then I just want to take you back, and apologies to your first brief before the break. And you referred there to Glenn Johnson. Are you referring to the current Oranga Tamariki site manager, Glenn Johnson, there?
Oh, sorry, yes, Glenn Johnson, that's right. He's the new Oranga Tamariki for Hawke's Bay. The independent auditor's name is Aaron. Aaron, that's...
Kia ora.
My door has been battled down by all these independent monitoring committee people, blokes who are now looking to do reports.
And just to clarify, though, you have
Aaron.
met with Mr. Johnson, the
Yes.
current site manager, in recent times?
Yes, I have.
And one more point of clarification. You referred earlier to the Information Sharing Act.
Yes.
Are you referring there to to those 2017 changes to the Oranga Tamariki Act around the information sharing provisions? Or
So there's been 2 changes since then. There was also the Act last year on July the 1st, 2019, where information can be sourced or sought, and that works vice versa. So you can now, as of 2019, apply to Oranga Tamariki and ask for your information from them, and they have to provide it. So it only worked in reverse before, but now it's being changed. But not many of our whānau know that. So not many know that you can actually ask for your information from them.
Tēnā koe, Mr. TeHuia's.
Thank you.
Thank you once again, Ms. TeHuia. I know
Thank you.
you are to return to us for one more confidential session, and we look forward to hearing from you again. But
Thank you.
thank you for your evidence.
Thank you.
Kia ora.